Well, I'm downtown Toronto, and I'm just going to go to the bike shop across the street. We're going to go visit the folks at Amigo EV Electric Bicycles. They're specialists in electric bikes. Now, if you remember, maybe a couple years ago, Ken and I had interviewed the proprietor. Her name is Virginia, at the Toronto Auto Show, and she really got us all turned on to electric bikes. So, to be fair, I went to about 6 different shops in my local area just trying to look at different bikes and see what was available. And, you know, I just kept coming back to these guys because they really are specialists, and they gave me a pretty good deal. So let's go and look at the shop, and I'll show you what we're talking about.
Why you're so salty? I'll still think about it.
Okay, we can take my Lambo. I'll put on a tight show. You sure you can handle? We be faster than Django.
So salty, I'll still think about it.
We can take my Lambo. I'll put on a tight show. You sure you can handle? We be faster than Django.
Can't stop boosting.
So I managed to fit the bike in the back. I had to take the front wheel off. I don't have my bike rack yet. I need an adapter because of the battery on this thing. I can't put it on my normal bike rack. When I get an adapter, I'll show you how that mounts. So managed to fit it in the back, so let's take it home and have some fun. It's time to do a review. I've had the bike for a couple weeks, so let's take it out on the trail. I'll show you the different modes, its different capabilities, what it does, and some of its features. So let's go for a ride. So you can see here, turning on the screen reveals some information, such as the battery meter down at the bottom. I haven't done a charge in a couple of weeks, but it's still holding true at about 74-75%. There's the current time, your current speed. Over here on this side, you have the control panel, which allows you to turn the device on and off. You have a backlight button, an S button, which is actually the function button. I'll step through that in a second. And then these buttons are up and down. That allows you to select the different modes. So right now, as soon as you turn on the device, you get nothing. But if I press the up arrow button, I get Eco Plus, currently showing me 154 kilometers. The next mode is Eco at 119 kilometers, approximate of course. Standard mode 77, and high mode, which shows at about 64. If I press the S button, it'll cycle through a few different modes. You can see it shows me the current charge level 75%. If I press it again, it shows me my current RPM. If I press it again, you get an average of 19 kilometers per hour. Maximum I've reached is 39.3. Current distance, 19 kilometers. Odometer, 19 kilometers. By the way, you can reset some of these functions if you press and hold the S button. So if I go to this one right here, and I press and hold, it should reset. There we go. So I currently have the bike in standard mode, showing me, let's see here, flip over to a different screen. Let me see here. Distance, 77 kilometers. Well, we're certainly not going that distance today, so this will give us an opportunity to go down on some of the trails by my place and give this bike a little bit of a workout. There goes my neighbor. All right, we're just about to enter the trailhead here. Now, it's been raining for the last 24 hours, so we'll see how the trail behaves today. I mean, it might get dirty, but that's part of the fun, right? So I currently have the bike in standard mode, and just so you know, this is a mid-drive bike, which means the motor is in the middle, and there's no throttle, which means I have to pedal in order to actually propel the bike. And in its highest setting, according to the manual, it allows for up to 280% force. So that's like having a bunch of people pushing you on the back of the bike, which is quite nice. And one of the nice things about this that I find is that on this bike, I find myself changing the gears a lot less often. So if I'm at a stop or whatever and I forget to change gears, the bike has enough force to actually get me past some of the stuff without having to change gears all the time. So once we get into some cover here, you'll be able to hear me a little bit better, I hope. Whoa, I almost missed my turn. Woohoo! Okay, here we go. So I'm in, oh, that's a hard gear, but I can feel it pushing a little bit. Now I have the bike currently set into hardtail mode, which is no suspension on the back. I mean, there's a little bit, but it just a flick of the switch, then I get more suspension. And the front, of course, also has an interlock. I've been waiting to do this review for some time because it's been so hot that I would shed some pounds. I could lose some pounds. That's okay. But at least with this, I'm not going to be overexerting myself too much, especially in the heat. Now, there's a little bit of a hill coming up here, and if I just switch into some of the lower gears, it's like effortless going up the hill. I mean, there's a little bit of force, but I could feel it pushing me a bit. Now the bike has 20 speeds. It has a 2-gear derailleur on the front and a 10-gear derailleur on the back. I don't find myself changing the front derailleur all that much because the assisted motor on here makes it super easy to be able to take off in almost any gear that you're in. All right, which direction shall we take? Tim Jones Trail. Yeah, we'll take this way. Oh yeah, that's nice. A little bit of an uphill here, and just by pedaling just a tiny bit harder, you can feel it pushing you. There we go. We get into the softer stuff here. We got some mulch here on the ground, so should make for a little bit of a quieter ride. I will flip the rear shock interlock off so that we get some rear suspension now. Yeah, I can feel it. It's already softer. Again, I only have the bike in standard mode. I am not putting this in high mode. And I don't even know what gear I'm in right now. I'm still getting a workout. It just means I can maintain a bit more of a cadence without having to slow down quite so much. The whole point of this is not to cheat, but what I feel is that it just makes trail riding a much more enjoyable affair because you can go up the hills with very little effort. It makes going uphill really just as enjoyable as going downhill, which is one of the great parts about mountain biking. There's some uphill portions here, and I'll give you an idea of what it's like. I'll put it into the high-powered mode here in a second. You notice I've hardly changed gears at all. I just find that I don't need to change gears quite as often. I still feel the burn in my legs. That hasn't stopped anything. Now, as far as weight is concerned, this bike weighs about 50 pounds. Here's the hill. We're gonna go up this hill. Well, let's just pause here for a second. The bike weighs about 49 to 50 pounds, but when you're riding it, you don't feel it. It's only when you go to pick up the bike. It weighs a little bit more than the average mountain bike, but when you're riding it, you don't even feel that. Now, on screen, it doesn't look very steep, but trust me, in person, it's fairly steep. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change the screen mode here. I'm gonna press the up button, and we'll get it from standard mode into high mode. And you'll see here that the distance drops a little bit. I am not going to change the gear on the front derailleur. I'm going to leave it just the way it is. And we're in the high gear here, so we're going to put it into a low gear. And we're going to go up this hill. All right, let's see if I can get this thing into a lower gear, lowest gear possible. Whoa, derailleur's going crazy. Whoa, what's going on here? There we go. All right, let's go to the low end side here. Whoa! Okay, I have this bike in the lowest gear and high mode, and it feels like I'm going up this hill when I'm just idling. I'm not exerting at all. You know when you just idle when you're going down a hill or on a street, whatever? That's what this feels like. Oh, that's fun. All right, let's get the gears back up again. All right, derailleur, there we go. Oh, that was fun. All right, I gotta go back down that hill. And the motor's silent too, I can't even hear it. I think the net effect here with riding a bike like this is that if you wanna go on a longer day ride, you can do it longer because you're not having to exert yourself quite as much. Now, this thing has disc brakes, so I'm gonna have to slow down. This is a very steep hill. And there's some ruts here, so. Woohoo! Just slide down the back end. There we go. There we go. A little bit of wildlife. Woohoo! It almost feels like a motorcycle. There's no throttle, like I said, it's pedal assist. So as you put pressure on the pedals, the bike accelerates. This bike feels different than my previous mountain bike. It has wider handlebars I definitely feel like it feels like it's almost 2 inches longer. My only concern with that is probably catching it on some brush or whatever. So, and I got to put my other handlebars on there because I've got horns on the end. It just helps you lift up the front end sometimes if you need it. A nice little feature to have. Another little hill coming up. Let's just leave it on standard. We'll go into the lowest gear and we'll just kind of let her coast a little bit. Oh yeah, a little bit of effort on my part, but I can definitely feel the assist a bit. Just to reiterate again, this bike is a 29-inch bike, so it has 29-inch wheels. The diameter, if I recall, is 2.5 inches. It's not one of the fat bikes. The fat bikes are kind of all the rage right now. Not really my cup of tea. So let's take a few minutes here and just give you a little bit of more of an overview of the bike. You'll notice here that, again, there's the battery pack sitting on the down tube. This cross tube here is hydroformed, and by doing a hydroform, it allows them to lower this part. Most bikes actually come out a little straighter here, and that's also on the count because the battery pulls out sideways. Other ones pull out straight, so this is a nice little feature of this Yamaha powertrain system. So this is the Yamaha PW system. It almost looks like a little motorcycle engine in there. It's not very big. I mean, there's my hand. Not very big at all. Got a nice little bash plate here on the front, so if you hit anything, you're not going to damage it. It provides up to 280% force driving. That's in high mode. So it really feels like somebody's on the back of the bike really pushing you up the hill when you need it on those power assist times. The bike also has 100mm rear travel, 100mm front travel on the RockShox system. The little blue lever here is an interlock, so that turns it into a hardtail, and that turns it into a soft tail just by flick of a switch. This one does not have a drop post, so this is just a hard post on here. The frame is all aluminum, and you can see here it has a little bit larger disc brakes on the front than I'm kind of accustomed to seeing. 29-inch wheels, as I said, and on this side here you have the front shock interlock. So right now that's in full soft mode. This allows you to lock it out. So if you're really power pedaling, you want to lock that out so that it doesn't squish down quite as much. As I was mentioning earlier, it features 10 speeds on the back, and also a 2-speed derailleur here on the front. I'm sorry, you can't see the gear there, but there's also another derailleur down the front. So it's a total of 20 speeds on this bike. The front screen here is removable. There's a little tab you can pull, if I can do that. So it just slides off like that. Has a little coin battery here on the back to maintain the time. There's just little contacts and stuff. Now some people may feel that if you're on a trail, you take a bit of a tumble, that you may damage the screen. That's understandable. My understanding is that newer units have one that's more like down here in line with the stem, so run a little less chance of something getting damaged. By default, anytime you turn on the bike, there's no power assist at all. I actually have to press one of the up buttons to actually turn on the power assist right now. So there's your Eco Plus, you have your Eco, Standard, and High modes. I normally operate in Standard. By the way, there's also a battery level here. So if I press this, you'll see the red lights come on. And I have a key at home. I unlock that and the whole battery comes out sideways. Now some of you may be asking, what is the cost of one of these things? A bike like this that's mid-drive, either a Bosch system, Yamaha system, Shimano, most of the big names, you're looking at about $2,500 as a starting point. Prices go up quite a bit from there. I was looking around at all the different makes, and I found that this one right here is a German company, Haibike, had the best combinations of price and features. So this one can't be beat. I mean, most of the other ones, compared to what I paid for this, most of the other ones were about $2,000 more than what I paid. So, and I just can't see the value in some of the components that they're using. I mean, this has RockShox on it. Most of the other ones have their own brand name or something else made by Suntour. But this one has the good RockShox, and you know, it's all Shimano drivetrain stuff. It's pretty standard things. So, you know, you get a few upgrades here and there depending on what you spend on. Most of the money really is in the powertrain, you know, the motor and the battery. This, by the way, is the sensor. So there's a little metal, I don't know if I can find it. There it is right there, you can see it. So this is a little magnet that attaches to the spokes and it goes past the sensor. This is the cadence sensor. It tells the motor, you know, how fast you're going. Okay, kids, it's time to head back. Oh, there goes my tire. Shoot. Yeah, I have a flat tire. That's a review money can't buy right there. Looks like I got to stop into the bike shop and get that fixed. Oh, darn. I had a feeling I had a bit of a slow leak there for a while and filled it up this morning, but now she's totally on the flat. And of course, I didn't bring my pump with me. So, yeah, some of the hazards of bike riding, I guess. Oh, by the way, I should mention, On the front of the controller here, there's a little button that looks like a person walking. That's called walk mode. Unfortunately, it's not active in North American markets. I don't understand why. I think it has to do with runaways or something to that effect. But yeah, any of these mid-drive companies disable the walk mode in North America. And just so you know, walk mode is one of those times if you get off the bike and you happen to be going up a hill, you can press the button and the motor will assist you in walking the bike up a hill. And I don't think that's a hardware function that's disabled. It's probably just done through the firmware, but like I said, I'm not a firmware hacker. I'd be curious to find out if anybody knows how to hack the firmware to enable that in North America. I'd be very curious to know. Please put a link in the comments and I'll see if I can follow up on that. I must say, I really, really love this bike. If you've never ridden an electric mountain bike with a mid-drive, do yourself a favor. But be forewarned, you will instantly fall in love with this technology. It is amazing. Well, I hope you enjoyed the review. Sorry for the hat head, but it is what it is when you're riding a bike. So if you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching, folks. See you later.